everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Good Death Podcast, Ask a Death Doula. If you haven't heard, we are donating 10 meals in your name for every single person that comes to the level 1 free end-of-life doula and family caregiver training. That's exactly right. You heard that correctly. When you show up to take the free training, by the way, 100 years ago, this was a skill that a grandmother used to hand down to a grandchild. Today, it's all but lost. And in my opinion, it's causing end of life to be 1,000 times more difficult for both patients and families. Doula Givers Institute is on a mission to bring this skill back. And in doing so, when you come to that training and take that training for free, we will donate 10 meals in your name to Feeding America. That's right. This is how we change the world. So tell your friends, share this, because this is a win-win situation. And again, showing up, each and every one of us have a choice every single day on how we choose to show up in this world. I'm either showing up in love or showing up in fear. It is time to show up in love. And this is how we change the world. Welcome to the podcast today. We are going to talk about children and death. We're going to talk about the truth about talking to children openly and how we have to teach our children that death is a natural part of the life cycle. And in doing so, we have a great interview with Chambless, and she is the star of writing and producing this movie called My Guardian Angel. Yes, she is a young one. She has a voice and she has a personal experience that she put into a film to share what was happening for her friend that was having an end of life and how she was being mistreated and bullied by other classmates. And let's not have judgment here. Let's say, what do we need to do to support children in understanding that end of life, no matter what age it comes at, is a natural and guaranteed part of the life's journey, and what we can all do individually to show up in that space and compassion with the tools. So this is an incredible podcast. We are going to hear from her experience as a young one with her friend who is dying, and what we want to do to move forward into the world. So sit back, relax. Again, this is the Good Death Podcast. Thank you so much for being here. I just want to welcome you to this podcast. I'm so excited to talk about this. So welcome both of you to this podcast.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
It's my pleasure. I've been wanting to do this. And the minute that I have to do a shout out for Elizabeth Copeland, because from Grief Dialogues, she's just magic. And the minute that she shared with me the work that you were doing in this film, I was like, this is so exciting. And so I've been wanting to do this interview for a while. So can we first start with, can you tell me about the backstory of this film? How did this come about?
So I had done 2 other short films before this, one when I was around 6 years old, and then the other one when I was 10. So I had done it before, and I wanted to ramp up to like a bigger project, something that I could really expand on the knowledge that I already had. But I also wanted to keep with what I had been doing in my films before, which was like give it a message, something that it can show people, something it can be put across, because I feel like film is such a great avenue to put across messages that are important, and it's a great way to get eyes on it as well. So when me and my dad were sitting down trying to figure out what to do for it, he was talking to me and he was like, pull from real life experiences, taking something that happened to you and make it into something for everyone else. And I was like, well, I never really got to tell the story of like me and Tisha, who was my friend. So we decided that that's what we were going to do. We were going to tell me and Tisha's story because it was a really important part in my life, and I know it changed me and impacted me. And I just felt it could be something that can change and impact the world as well. So that was kind of where we first decided we were going to do it. And then we had the whole writing process, which was honestly, it was so interesting, trying to remember what had actually happened, because I wanted to keep it as true and as real to what actually happened as possible. So he was kind of sitting with me and he was like, oh yeah, you got that right. Okay, there we go. And there were some points where it was like really hard to write, especially the ending, which I'm not going to spoil, but there's a big monologue and I was it's basically the words I never got to say to her, for her. So that one, I was literally sitting there in the like on my dining room table, like crying and typing at the same time. So
Oh,
it was
wow.
definitely, yeah.
It was
All
very
right.
cathartic. The like she said, the first two films, the first one was really just kind of an exercise, if you will. I was teaching her some cinematography and some composition. She said, "No, Dad, I want to tell a story. I have a story," and she just took the camera away from me and just started filming stuff, which was a lot of fun because it was kind of impromptu and on the moment. But her second film, Just Believe, because of the work that I do, which is also telling messages of stories of hope and mental illness and things that happen with school children, teenagers, bullying and online catastrophes and stuff like that. She had already kind of had a direction towards utilizing this medium for a bigger message. And so Just Believe really was about self-acceptance, self-love, and self-healing. And so when we were talking, like she was saying, and I said pull from experiences, which she had already done when she spoke about Tisha, my first question was, well, you were 5 years old. How much do you really remember? And so we really sat down, and it was actually a beautiful platform to segue from Just Believe, because it was still in that vein of wanting to try to make a difference, wanting to try to show people that there were other ways than malice and disheartening ships and bullying and stuff, and self-love. And she wanted to expand on that. And so when we got down into it and started really breaking it down, and like she said, I was helping her with the screenplay, there really wasn't a whole lot I had to fill in. I was really surprised at how much she retained, how much she knew, how much she remembered. And it was just a matter of taking all of that and bringing it down into a concise little narrative
Yeah.
that people could really get into and relate to without it being too verbose or wordy, because there was a lot of stuff. Both of them,
Especially when you're 5 years old,
yeah.
like two 5-year-old girls are like, jump, 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 jump. So it was like you had to
She was trying
condense
to fit it
material.
all in it, all of it in, and I
Well,
said,
the
no,
first
it's not
draft,
work.
I was like, let me just get it as true to events as
But it, you know
possible.
what? But on the other side of that, it is amazing how much impact a 5-year-old's experience has on their whole entire life. You know, and
Absolutely.
sometimes we push it away and pack it for another day to unpack because it's a lot for us, but it's amazing how that's imprinted. So this film has a lot of messaging to it, which I really love because, and there's a couple of questions I'm going to ask you about. But one of the first things I want to go is if we could go back to that relationship. Could you tell me about your friendship? How did it start? What was your beautiful friend like? Just tell me what that beautiful relationship was like.
Yeah, of course. So I switched schools to a more gifted program when I was little. And when I got there, I was kind of the odd one out. Like I didn't know anyone because I came in kind of late. But I remember seeing her like right away and noticing that we had the exact same jacket. So obviously, when I was young, I was very I like to talk to everyone, like to introduce myself to everyone. So when I saw that, I was like, I need to talk to her like right now. So I went up to her and I literally told her, oh my gosh, we have the same jacket. And we sat down, and the entire afternoon of my first day there was me and her just sitting and talking because we had so much in common. We both loved theater, and she really loved dance, and I did dance too. And we both really liked fashion and stuff like that. So it came down to it. We kind of clicked almost immediately. It was like we were so
Yeah.
different, but also so similar. And
Yeah.
it kind of just meshed right. And so we were really close from then on, and we spent so much time together. She was really creative and imaginative. So we would like sit on the playground and put on shows and plays and stuff because musical theater was both a really big part of our lives. And the sad part was like, I noticed that other kids weren't really like talking to her, playing with her. And at first it was kind of like, oh, okay, that's weird. I don't really know why that's happening. But, when you're young, it's kind of like in my first school, it was like everyone holds hands and sings kumbaya, everyone gets along. So I'd never experienced anything like that. And so when it did happen, it was just so strange because I didn't get it. I was like, oh my God, she's so cool. Like, why does no one else want to talk to her? But even though a lot of people, didn't treat her right, I like our time together was still like so precious to me. I actually ended up getting to go over to her house, which was like a big thing because not anyone had gone over to her house before.
Her immune system and everything.
Yeah, her parents were very worried about that. So when I got to go over, it was like really special. And that was kind of the last time I saw her when I went over to her house.
Why do you think the other children were not embracing her as a friend? What do you think that was
Well,
about? What did they perceive was different? What do you think was happening there?
Well, personally, I know that like we were 5, so I understand that the kids weren't doing it out of like pure malice. They didn't know. It was like the ignorance of the whole situation. But they saw that she didn't have any hair and that she
Mhm.
looked different. And so when they went like to their parents to talk about it, most of the parents were like, "Oh, just don't ask any questions, don't just stay away, just don't engage," because parents knew what was going on. The school had let everyone know, so it wasn't like a secret. But the parents had told the kids like because they didn't want to talk to them about that kind of subject, the sickness and the illness. So most kids either just completely ignored her or there were some specific few that really like targeted her. And in the end it even got to stuff like physical pushing, and which was really awful.
I think
um
it goes back to what you had said
Mm.
a little bit earlier, Suzanne, where we don't expect 5-year-olds to be as knowledgeable or engaging or understanding as they really are. Michelle and I always was very, very open and completely transparent with Naya, because we saw how quickly she absorbed information and
Mhm.
details and feelings and such. And we felt that it would only enhance her ability to understand her environment, her friends,
Yeah.
because she was also going through a lot of loss with our family members.
Mhm.
And so instead of trying to shield and block and say, you're too
That's
young to
right.
understand this, we said, no, she's going to understand and she's going to be a better person for this. I think
yeah
a lot of that came down to those children that did not have that same kind of environment. They were
Yeah.
being, you know,
Let's stop on that for a minute because I think this is critically important, especially from my background, is that children are, so observant and age appropriately should be brought into just about anything in their environment because when we shield them or pretend or go a different way, it puts up a danger sign for them. So if we're acting like something's wrong, they're taking cues from that. And so, this beautiful thing that we're in called life has many different parts to it. And it's a sacred experience, right? And one of those parts is that the journey as we know it in this physical body, whatever your belief system, will come to an end. And sometimes that happens with people of a young age. And, talking with compassion to children about what's happening age appropriately is one of the best things we can do. And so I love that you didn't even see that, right, Naya? You just saw this light from your friend. You didn't, the other things that were there, so what a beautiful thing. But I also know that when somebody sometimes looks different, it's really important to remind us all, even adults, how much more similar we are than different. And the differences are actually what make us super beautiful, right?
right
So, what did your friend have? What was her disease process? And how long had she had it by the time that you had met her? If you would share that.
Yeah, so Tisha had inoperable neuroblastomas. So
Hmm.
she had brain cancer.
Yep.
And I believe they found it when she was
three.
three.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and then when I met her, she was 5 or 6 because it was near the end of the year. Um, and she had been, her parents had been taking her to treatments and stuff, but it was
Hmm.
really, it was kind of a,
So,
I'm not,
yeah.
yeah, they
So
would
she
take
had
her.
gone through a lot of different organizations, a lot of different foundations and hospitals and such. Her final hospital was All Children's, John Hopkins All Children's. But she had been through a lot of different organizations and foundations and hospitals before that, treatment centers and such, trying to narrow it down, trying to get it determined and diagnosed properly and such, and trying to get the family proper help and things like that. Naya had met her on the tail end of it. And Tisha, you know, if she wasn't down, completely down, you would never know the child was ill.
She was such a like energetic and fun person.
She didn't let it take her down.
No, she really didn't. And even though there were days that she like couldn't come to school, when she did come back, she would be like right back into it, you know, excited to learn and to like play. And yeah.
Her parents said that even on some of her worst days, she fought to go to school because she wanted to spend time with Naya.
You know, it reminds me of a story that one of our doula givers shared about. And again, neoblastoma brain tumors are not uncommon as a cancer for young people. So we just want people to know that. But she told me about this girl, and she was 4 years old with brain cancer. And she was at the end, you know, she had gone through all the treatments and she was at the end of her journey. And she was literally telling everyone what she wanted them to do, what she wanted them to wear to her life celebration, how she wanted them to act, like the life that shined from this beautiful little girl was more life than we see in most people. And it sounds like Tisha was exactly the same, which is really beautiful. Absolutely. So tell me about what the messaging is with this film. Were you ever able to talk with other classmates and allow them to ask questions? Was that even a possibility? And I mean, it must have been devastating to see your friend bullied almost, you know, with being different. And again, I don't understand that. So I want to talk about a couple of things, like why we feel that children feel the need to act out in that kind of way when they're not being threatened, and how we can help to change this. But were you ever able to talk with any classmates about the situation to help, you know, demystify and reduce the fear of what was going on in that situation?
So after Tisha passed away, well, even before Tisha passed away, I really wanted to go and see her. You know, I wanted to see her in the hospital, but Tisha didn't want me to come see her because she wanted me to remember her the way that she was. So I never really got to say goodbye to her, which is another reason that this film was like very cathartic. But after she passed away, the the school told me that I couldn't speak about it to anyone. I couldn't talk about it. And when I actually did tell someone about it once, the kid kind of tattletaled a bit and told the principal, and the principal took me outside and kind of was like, you cannot speak about this to the other kids. I don't want you to say anything. You're not allowed to. So I really wasn't permitted to share anything to the other children.
And now you're telling the world.
And now I'm telling the world. So, you know,
I love this.
We did. Yeah. We changed the little things up in order to,
of course,
keep them out of the storyline and such.
Yeah, of course. It's not like I'm calling anyone out like you were awful. It's like, this is what happened. This is the story. And something like this needs to be shown, you know?
Yes. And here's the thing. This is the ripple effect. So it comes from the top down, right? So if we're taking our cues from teachers, if we're taking our cues from parents, don't talk about it, don't talk about it. How do you think this could ever be a healthy pathway? So I love the fact that we're having this conversation because it's a natural part of life. Yes, it is so difficult, but it is a natural part of life. And what gifts can we extract from this? What are the lessons here? How much more similar? Compassion is so important, but also how fragile and beautiful every single day of your life is. So I want to ask you a question. I want to tell you this. So it's not really a question, it's a statement. I want you to know, Naya, that so many of my patients at the end of life, they don't want to see people. A lot of them don't want the people coming there, and it has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
It has to do with them. I hope you do understand that.
At the time, it was a little rough.
Of course it was.
We did go to the funeral. We allowed Naya to come to the funeral and such.
Of course.
And she experienced all that. And it was a little difficult for her to understand, even though we had a lot of conversations about the fact
Of
that
course.
exactly what you were
Yeah,
saying.
but now I definitely know like that she just wanted me to remember her the way she
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
And even though I didn't quite understand that point when I was younger, I definitely after a while like I understood what was going on and why
Yeah.
she didn't want me to come and see her. And just I'm just happy for the time we had together.
Yeah.
Even if I didn't like get to say goodbye directly, I'm happy that I got to be her friend when she was here.
And
Absolutely.
here's an
And I,
interesting thing as
yeah.
well. For the first year after Tisha passed away, Michelle and I would hear Naya in her bedroom talking to Tisha, almost as if she was having play dates with her and stuff. A year later, the family reached out and wanted to see Naya. They had to take time away from her because of the fact that were so close and they needed some healing time. And
Of
again, that was
course.
another thing that Naya didn't really understand because she felt so close to them. But a year later, they reached out and brought Naya over and then shared with Naya a little memorial fairy house kind of flower
Garden, yeah.
garden that they made for Tisha. And so Naya was able to sit there and talk to Tisha there at their home for that whole visitation. And once that happened, the speaking and the play dates here stopped. So it was almost as if Naya was self-healing on her own. And that last moment of her being able to reconnect with the family kind of sealed the deal and allowed her to heal a little bit more from that.
That is beautiful. And, you know, I've been honored and privileged to work with over 1,000 people at the end of life through my work. And that's a lot of experience, right? And I love that you're sharing your story from experience. And I will say that the best teachers are experience. And there's no doubt in my mind, and this is my belief, that we change form, right? So we're given this gift to have this experience in, and we want to, you know, just treat every day like it is that gift, but also that we continue on and we exist in a different way. So when you're talking with Tisha and you're sharing your heart, she's hearing you. You know, there's no doubt that it's just in another space. So it's really beautiful. And I love the awareness of that, you know, there's healing that does need to take place. And there's a timeline for other people that we need to just understand it's not about us. And I'm sure at a 5-year-old child, it's very hard to kind of put all of that into place. But I love your reflections on that and the healing moving forward. So, why is this film so important to you?
Well, besides the fact that it's a really personal experience for me, I
Mhm.
think this film can help so many people. I mean, it's got messages of accepting our differences and like inclusion, but it does also talk about harder subjects like bullying and some other things as well. So I think it's important to me, obviously, because of my experience and how I want to share that with other people. And I think the
Yeah.
messages are something that all ages, like everyone can learn from, you know, and everyone can grow from, but
Yeah.
especially kids, like seeing something like that and knowing, you know, maybe next time that happens, the kids will embrace her and like love the person and become friends with them instead of, you know, pushing them away. So I think something like this is really important with the messages involved and
Yeah.
showing kids that it's like they're not they may look different, but they're so similar to you, you know, and
Yeah.
even though they're different, you have to like accept them.
You know, Naya, this is so important because the work that I do predominantly with adults, I mean, I have worked with children at the end of life. People, the same thing is happening there. People are afraid, they don't know what to say, so they avoid them, they pretend it's not happening, and the person is just so sad and so suffering. And so what I've done is given them literally what you can do, how you can show up in presence and compassion. Talk to that person. They might look different, but talk to them because they're there. And that's what they want. They want you to see them. And I think for your voice is so important because think about the difficulty people are having with end of life with adults. Think about the intensity that they're having around children facing the end of life. So giving them tools and the reminder that that child is there, that it's all there, and this is what you can do. This is how you can show up and the importance to do that. So you're really giving them permission and a bridge, which is so incredibly beautiful. I love that. What do you hope What do you hope comes out of this film?
So honestly, I first off, I there are so many things I want to do with this film. I've been putting it through film festivals, but I'm also trying to get it on a more educational standpoint, because like I said, I feel like kids need to see something like this because this is something we're not necessarily taught, it's not something that a lot of kids know. So seeing something like this could be so helpful. And I mean, especially with the younger kids, if they start off with that inclusion, they'll grow up maybe to be a bit more caring. I mean, you can't be for sure, but seeing something like that could help someone um, feel better and more comfortable with accepting other people for who they are. And I think people's eyes on it is the most important thing. But what I really hope is even if it can't affect like 100 people, that even one person affected by the message and like seeing this film could make a change in the social environment. Someone
That's,
seeing
yeah.
it and resonating with it, even if it's only one person, can make such a difference in someone's life. Like one of my actresses said, and one of my young actresses that worked on the film with me was like, sometimes all you need is like one good friend to change your life and make your life so much better. So one person who really cares about you can help can help make you feel loved.
Yeah.
So
I love that. That's my motto too. When I started Doula Givers in Training, I said if I help one family, it's a win, right? And to this date, we've helped so many around the world, but it's that one family that's the important thing because that made all the difference, right? So I love that you're holding on to that. I agree with you about children because, our pets die, grandparents die. This is a skill when we have, so that we're dealing with, death is really like the number one fear in the world statistically right now at this moment, which is mind boggling because we've a human race for thousands of years, right? We've been dying and it's just that we've gotten all the way to pretending like it's optional. But this fear has developed around the end of life that is not warranted. It is also removing the teachings and of how similar we are, but also the wisdom that end of life people share with us. And what we're dealing with now, in my opinion, is the adults that were shielded from end of life as children, shielded from their grandparents, told that their grandparent just was sleeping or not allowed to see the funeral, and immediately developed this very dysfunctional relationship with death that we are seeing now. And so, what you're doing is planting seeds and changing perspective for children in so many ways. Pets die, parents, yeah, I mean, we all go through it, right? Nature is a great example of that, but we also do have peers at times that die. And to be able to show up with true presence to that person, with compassion, with just saying, hey, I see you, is the best medicine we have to provide for one another. So your messaging is so beautiful and so important.
thank you.
What can people do to help promote your film, to help share it? What can we ask our listeners to do?
So, of course, we're still running festival circuit, so we don't have the film like available quite yet,
Okay.
but we are looking at some opportunities to get some eyes on it. So, I mean, we have social media sites, of course.
Okay.
So, I mean, just keeping updated with it and waiting because we do have some amazing opportunities coming up that could be so great. We're talking with Gray Media and ABC7, as well
Mhm.
as some other wonderful companies.
Art Schools Network.
Yes, and we're taking steps to put it into education as well. So, I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, just keep following us on what our progress is and just keep looking out for us because, I mean, when it's on there, it'll just be good to keep with it and, keep faith in us. It takes a while to get stuff out there sometimes, especially with films, but we're working on it and we're going to get it
And
out
I'll
there.
throw my producer's hat on really
Oh,
quick
yeah.
here.
The
We are,
producer, the
yes,
money
and
hat.
you're right. We are still fundraising because in
Mhm.
addition to this, we are trying to create physical media for this, physical DVDs. We're even talking about potentially putting together a little educational book to go with the film. So we're still trying to raise money to be able to put those materials together And we are also have been talking to a lot of cancer organizations and foundations and stuff. We're trying to go that route. However, you know, as you know, the film doesn't have a happy ending as far as
I mean, we tried to give it a little bit of a good ending. I mean, sadly, that didn't really occur, but we tried to make some, like, the ending of the film at least a little snip cut, more hopeful. But yeah, it's not exactly the happiest of endings for a film because I wanted to stay true to it, you know, and that's
absolutely
kind of
so that's a little tough on the cancer foundations, especially showing children that are going through cancer and stuff like that, because you know they're always looking for hopeful. So we are also working on a potential documentary for wigs for kids, kind of a thing about cancer survivors and stuff, being able to have wigs made for them and such like that. Tisha never wanted one. She was completely happy with how she looked, but we're trying to work with that. So the educational
it's so great.
output,
the wigs for kids thing is so great because it gives those kids like so much confidence. So I thought it was just a great thing when someone pitched the project to the both of us. I was like, it's in the same vein as MGA, and it's so great, and I'm really excited to do it. Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
So yes, so we have a Facebook page, My Guardian Angel Film. We have an Instagram page, My Guardian Angel Film, and then we also have a website through Grief Dialogues, through Elizabeth Copeland, who was like you said, an amazing woman.
She has been so supportive of this
came in as our
entire
fiscal
mission.
sponsor and an executive producer. And so that's griefdialogues.com/my-guardian-angel. And that's where you can donate to our cause and help us with the educational outreach that we really are trying to do for this.
Sometimes we think the film fundraising is done, but it's not quite done yet. You got to keep raising the money, like, oh, you're finished with production, your money must be done. No, not even close. So but yeah, keep eyes on it and maybe donate if you can, and if not, just support it, you know.
Tell others.
All right. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to have all your links in the show notes below. So everyone, you can just go to the show notes, check this out, follow them, talk to your friends about this film, the messaging, the through line, so important about compassion, coming together, and also our children that are, you know, going through an end of life process, their families, and how can we show up to support them, the community, and also just make, again, the natural sacred experience it's meant to be. We bring back the sacredness of end of life. It's bringing back the sacredness of life. And it's one of the best things we can do for our children. So thank you both, My Guardian Angel Film. I cannot wait to keep in touch and to see how this grows.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Suzanne.
you so much.
We really appreciate your time.
For sure. Thank you.
All right, everyone. Thank you. Another amazing interview. Thank you guys for being here. We'll see you in the next episode. How was that? Listening from the voices of our children are the future. We have to nourish them. We have to be present with them. We have to support them in what they need. And what an amazing, inspiring podcast. So we thank you so much. So don't forget, we are doing the live Doula Givers Level 1 Family Caregiver Training. And when you show up and when you share it, for each person that shows up live to that event, and it is live, we are going to donate 10 meals in your name for each and every person. The last one we did, we donated 19,743 meals to Feeding America. We want to get to 1 million. So let's do this, and let's do it together. So join the free level 1 training, share it with your friends. This is how we change the world. Thank you for being part of the Good Death Podcast, Ask a Death Doula. My name is Suzanne O'Brien. We'll see you in the next episode.